is one of the most interesting poets of modern-day Europe. He was born in a small village just outside of Salerno, is that okay? In southern Italy in 1980, and he's produced an impressive range of publications, including essays, poetry, fiction, autobiography, and drama. So a bit of a creative polymath. His poetry is concerned with powerful imagery, the physicality and vulnerability of the body, the meaning of objects, the interpretation of memories, and the philosophical importance of identity. This volume, which he'll be reading from tonight, is this the first translation?
Yes,
okay.
It's the first.
And the translations were done by Andrew Mangum, who is a lecturer in English literature at the University of Reading.
Thank you to be here. I'm very happy, glad to be here this evening. I want to warmly thank Sarah to invite me for this presentation, and this place hosting us tonight is an historical, lovely place, and you all to come this evening. About my poetry, I discovered poetry when I was around 16 years old. I remember I was after school close to the fireplace, and I was a bit sleeping, and at the moment I opened my eyes and I was watching the stumps in the fireplace, and they were not burning well, and I thought my life is a bit like these stumps, uncertain, and I liked that image, and it gave me some feeling, deep feeling, and I didn't want to forget about that moment, about that feeling. So I started to think how to do to not lose that moment. And I took a paper, took a pen, and said, okay, I will write a poem about this moment. Actually, that was my first poem, who gave name to my first collection. The title of the collection was Uncertain Stumps, and it was published in Florence at Caffè Letterario Giubberosse, which was one of the most important literary café in Europe, because the Futurism was born there. So as a young boy, I used to go in this literary café when I was young, and I sent to them my first collection of poetry, and they published them. And so everything started. After that, 16 collection of poetry followed, and other 15 books about novels, 6 novels, short stories, aphorisms, and some academic work. This evening I will read the poetry, starting from this book, The Poetry of Menotti Lerro, published by Cambridge Scholars Publishing. The editor is Andrew Mangum, professor at the University of Reading, as Sarah mentioned before, and he did an excellent work to translate it together with Maria Rosaria Lamarca, and also his introduction was very, very lovely. The important thing I think we created in the last years in Italy has been the village of poetry, the poetry village. I would like to start just to go in the atmosphere, showing you this village. We created a prize, a national prize. It is Cilento Poesia. Cilento is the place where I come from, in the south of Italy. And in this national prize, the main Italian poets are coming to receive this every year on the 10th of August. So I will show you, and then we'll say something about this. Michelangelo is one of the most important Italian poets. Exactly.
That's just, I mean, it's like, you know, build it and they will come idea. I think that's amazing. I also really like the idea of the poems being set in stone. I think that's very, very metaphorical in a way, that these words mean so much that they're set.
Yeah, that is a very good artist creating this writing.
Yes, yeah. So how does the village work?
You know, this is a village of 500 people. It's such a little village. So they usually in this area never had the best Italian poets never came in this land. So it has been so fascinating to invite them, to give them our prize, to see them, to put their poetry. The winner, we invite the winner and we say, if you want our prize, you have to write 3-4 poems for us.
Oh, I see. So that's the premise. More work. Yes. Oh, that's good. So you choose from just different poets,
exactly.
Or do they apply for the prize?
No, we choose. We have a special commission because we created just some times ago Contemporary Center of Arts. I'm director of that center.
And is that in the village?
No, it's not in the village. It is a national center. It is working in Cilento and in Milan. We have two main places, physical places where we do events. I wanted to show. And we did like 30 national events in 6 months about all kinds of arts. We are promoting all kinds of arts.
That's wonderful.
And there are like more than 20 academic professors involved in this project.
Right. Well, it's just amazing that you have a village that now has more of a purpose as well. It's a beautiful purpose. For this project?
No.
How did that?
No. He was director of Accademia di Brera section of design, and he invited me for a workshop to talk about a relationship intersection between art and literature. So I have been 20 hours meeting students to talk about this. So in that occasion I met him, and we together decided to create the Contemporary Center of Arts. And so we asked a lot of friends, poets and artists and everything to join, and we created this big communities, around 50 people together working on this project and making events and everything. So the Manifesto, actually, which is also in this book, Manifesto, this book is from Francesco De Piscopo, from University Federico II of Naples. He wrote a monography about my prose. So Andrew Mangam wrote a book about my poetry, and now just this year this book came out, and it is about my novels, my prose, short story and stuff. And in the hand, the Episcopo put also this manifesto. And the manifesto actually was my speech when I went on television. It is like half an hour. There is on YouTube. If you search for this on YouTube, there is me going in a television reading just this my wishes, what I wanted when the Contemporary Center of Arts was inaugurated, was open. So in that case, and critics perceived this as a new manifesto of arts. Actually, I didn't create this as a manifesto.
So somebody else titled it for you?
Exactly. Since the beginning, the television was saying, oh, it is a sort of cultural manifesto. And then the main Italian channels like Rai 3 came when we launched this, when we talked at this in Florence at the Giuberose Literary Cafe, and also they present this as a new manifesto. They convinced me that it could be a new manifesto of arts, because I was talking what I wished, what I felt, and Pelliccia as well, and the importance of interdisciplinarity of arts nowadays. And also I was saying that for me there is not there are not different arts, kind of arts, but for me art is just one.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was thinking about my feelings, the wish of expressing myself not only through poetry but also through other genres.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes there are feelings myself that I don't want to write down. I want to express through music or through painting, but I am unable to do that. It's such a suffering for me. Because I'm there and thinking, I would like to play these things tonight or to paint this beautiful, but I can't. And I feel a little bit inspired about that. So I felt that an artist, it would be interesting to find a total artist. So I was saying that one of the aims of our contemporary center was to find a total artist. And so other things with this, about the poetry nowadays, what are the problems of poetry nowadays, in which direction we should go. So I was trying to give my point of view. I didn't want to be the leader of nothing, but someone accepted this in a very nice way.
So what do you mean by total artist? Do you mean that one person can do
Exactly
everything? Rather, not collaboration?
Yes, that was what I was writing. I was writing on one hand, we have this idea that we could have a single person doing everything, playing, writing, painting, and all. On the other hand, maybe nowadays, one of the best way to have a total artist is to join. That's why I was saying this, because we were joining that moment. I was starting a project, joining with all kind of artists coming from different fields. So I felt like that. I felt like, okay, now we are going to join, and we are becoming one. And becoming one, we are like a total artist. So that is the point.
Yeah, I understand that. Because it's maybe sometimes it's difficult to explain the idea, the concept behind it into another language. But it sounds like, is it just for Italy, or do you want to spread this concept? Did you bring it to Scotland? Can you go to the government?
Yeah, I think it would be lovely to work now on this. It's an idea. It is in my mind, like to have this translated into English and published and present this as a general thing, because of course it is not something just for Italy, and also our Center of Arts is not promoting only Italian artists, is promoting all artists, all things we can create together, because we are just interested in art. That is our aim. We just love the beauty. We don't want any money for that, and we just work to give glory to the art. That is my aim since I was born. In my case, for instance, I didn't become a poet. I chose to be a poet, and it was such a strong thing, because when I was young, I was also pretty good in maths or other things. I could think like, okay, I can become rich, I can work on money, but I didn't want. I chose the worst thing, like poetry. No poet is rich in the world. So it was a crazy thing to think.
You say that there's this thing where they say, do what you love, and it won't seem like working. But if it's the arts, it seems like you work a whole lot more to try and get your voice out there.
I thought that the most beautiful thing for human is to get their own fifth essence, to get their interiority, to find their identity. So it is priceless, and I wanted to work on that, like looking for the truth of myself, of the world, to understand something. And after 20 years, I think I didn't understand anything. I'm just starting.
The more you know, the more you know you don't know. Because I understand them, because you've read what it means in English, and then in Italian you get the musicality.
Exactly. So it's completed, because you can also feel the Italian musicality. So I think it's better.
Yes, yes. So part of your poetry is concerned with the interpretation of memory.
Yeah.
Which, like that, we heard the one about being a child with your dad and the carpentry shop and running across the fields. But do you think that memories can deceive us, and do we choose how we remember events?
Definitely. Always cheat us. So it is actually this is part of the study I'm interested about, because the concept of memory has changed in the years. So about autobiography, for instance, that can be in prose or in verse, there is this problem that can deceive us, can cheat us. Before, if we think, for instance, of Victorian poets, they sometimes didn't want to say everything about their own life, but they were sure about what they were saying. They always were sure of that. With the beginning of 20th century, authors Yeats and James changed everything. They started to think that maybe memory can cheat us. So they wanted to integrate the past just from the point of view of the present. So now we are convinced about this. So it is interesting to understand that we can just catch a little fragment of reality, of what is true. So when we write some memory, we don't really are sure about that. It is just as we feel, as we see that from this point of view. Of course, it is something that we don't want to forget. That this is very important about memories, about autobiographies. For instance, an author as William Butler Yeats, when he wrote his autobiographies, he wrote, now that I've written everything down, I can start to forget. So he felt that after that he put in trust everything on paper, he can clean his mind of all these thoughts that were maybe obsessing him in some way. Because when you have a memory that you don't want to forget, it can obsess you, because the only way to remember this is to repeat this in your mind, otherwise it will be deleted from the page of your mind. So when we put down, it's a way to stop that.
Yeah, so you externalize.
Exactly, you put that there for yourself, to not forget, to polish your mind, to make clean your thoughts, but you still know that you have your things there, and you are not going to lose this, and more, you are sharing this with other people.
Yeah.
So there is this level.
It sounds a bit, have you seen Harry Potter? Have you read Harry Potter?
Yeah.
And they have the pensive, where you take you see, it's quite a nice visual actually, and the memory comes out and you pop it in a little test tube and keep it in the cupboard.
Exactly. Yeah.
And when you want to revisit it, you put it in the bowl. Yeah, so that's a bit like poetry.
That is a magic of poetry as well. It's a way to remember things. For instance, I'm still here talking about this first poem that unfortunately has not been translated in this book, I think in another book, yes. Still remembering this moment, I was 16 in front of my fireplace, feeling like that. That is really lovely. And this is sort of objective correlative, as T.S. Eliot was saying.
So is this like really attaching to an emotion that you were feeling at the time? So it's an emotional recollection, rather than a mental one in a way.
Exactly.
So because what you strive to find is that feeling that you were feeling at that time.
The idea is to have again the same feeling you had in that moment, and more or less you have, because you remember that moment and how you felt, and you wrote how you felt, and so it's a way to remember.
That's lovely. And you've written autobiography as well, you said.
Oh yeah, all my production is half autobiographical and half not. And let's say that a lot of them is a mixture, because I like to confuse.
Yeah.
Myself, firstly, and then
Yeah.
the reader.
There are really no rules.
Exactly.
Yes, yeah. When you speak of the vulnerability of the body, and we touched on this a little earlier, is this a gendered thing to you? I mean, I'm interested to find, because there's always an ongoing conversation as to, you know, people's assumptions about certain traits are considered female or male, and when the swap over happens, when males are nurturing and females are warrior-like or strong, and also the words that go with describing these things. Is this something that you look at in your poetry?
Yes, more than in my poetry, also in my poetry, but more in my studies. I enjoy integrate there because, for instance, the selected authors in my books, in these academic books, are 2 homosexual and 2 heterosexual, 2 English and 2 Spanish, for instance. And that is the magic of memories and of poetry and things that we don't want to lose. Yes. And about translation, of course, you lose something, but also sometimes you get something. And first of all, I will say that even Shakespeare has been translated. And for many people, it is the only way to read Shakespeare, because they don't know English and don't know Old English, and Dante as well. There are many English people that or French, they say, oh, Dante, they talk a lot of Dante, they understood the word of Dante, and they understood all this through the translations. Maybe they are losing something, but still are useful, very useful for so many things. So that is the point, it's just a compromise. But language in itself is a compromise. I'm not saying really what, I'm speaking another language, for instance, and even if I would speak English, it's a compromise, because language in itself is always a compromise between what you say and what you have inside. I have 3,000 thoughts, but now I'm trying to organize one thing to say, and when I'm talking, I'm losing other 2,999. So you just accept that. Sometimes you forgot what you are saying. So we just see that it is a way to express our word, but the real word is inside. That is the point.
Any other questions?
Yes, still about the translation. You say to translate yourself some of your poems. I think that's the best way to do, because in fact you're fluent in both language, I suppose, in English and in Italian. Meaning sometimes you have some expressions, for example in French, Italian, or so on, which you can't translate really well because they are definitely typical of one language and so on.
Sure.
So once I attended a talk about a person who translated Asterix in English. And so I asked her, are you fluent in French and in English? And she said, oh no, absolutely not. I said, well, it's kind of a shame, because I think you lose something if you don't translate yourself, because you can really translate your feelings. You can have the magic of the words in both languages.
Mm-hmm.
It's I think it's better when you can translate yourself.
I think the best way is to work together with someone native, because in my case I could not translate these poems myself in this way. I helped. We grow old in people's eyes, or when opening a wardrobe, the mirror takes us by surprise. We grow old, half plunged in our rivers, seeing portraits reflected when images flow among 1,000 folds. We grow old in twisted reflections of cutlery and glasses. Invecchiamo negli occhi della gente, o quando, nell'aprire un armadio, lo specchio ci sorprende invecchiamo, immersi a mezzo busto nei nostri fiumi, quando scorrono le immagini tra mille pieghe, invecchiamo nei riflessi perversi delle posate e dei bicchieri. This poem I'm going to read now is about my childhood. It is titled The Carpentry, because my father is a carpenter. Now he's retired, he was a carpenter. So when I was a kid, I used to be always in this carpentry, and he bought for me all little things that stuff he used, and I was creating the same thing he created. Like he was creating a big table, and I was doing a little table. And so after some years, I wanted to remember these moments, and I wrote this poem. So it's also about the powerful of memory. The carpentry smelled of trees and incense. My father spread white vinegar in rows, inserted steel nails with 2 short, intense blows. I imitated him, little hammer. Between my hands, his tools in miniature. I dreamt about the Trojan horse. Then, in the evening, I hid myself among sawdust. There is no safer place in the world, he said, with open arms. Nowadays, I take no cover, but in his eyes, in the calm before the storm, piece by piece, I tidied up our carpentry. La falegnameria profumava d'alberi e incensi. Mio padre passava la vinavil bianca degli incasteri, infilava i chiodi d'acciaio con 2 colpi, breve, intenso. Io lo imitavo, martellino, tra le mani miniature degli attrezzi. Sognavo il cavallo di Troia. Poi di sera mi nascondevo tra la segatura. Non c'è posto più sicuro al mondo, diceva, allargandomi le braccia. Oggi che non ho rifugio, se non negli occhi sereni allora di mio padre, quiete prima della bufera, pezzo dopo pezzo, riordino la nostra falegnameria. Nothing belongs to us but dreams, confused image of the night, voices that we do not distinguish anymore. Nulla ci appartiene se non i sogni, le immagini confuse della notte, le voci che più non distinguiamo. Childhood was too short. I ran across a field, accounting backwards. In the heart of this, the night fell, and we saw mad eyes only. Now we can only cling to dreams, to the unknown. È durata troppo poco l'infanzia, una corsa sul prato, un contare alla rovescia. In mezzo è caduta la notte e non abbiamo visto che occhi infuriati. Non ci resta che aggrapparci ai sogni, all'ignoto.